So yeah, this body count is growing real quick. So it's time for our discussion of the next episode of The Strain. Now, this is one of the more cool episodes, but it's probably going to be a quicker video because there really wasn't much to talk about. It was more just like things having fallout. One really cool dynamic that we have to discuss throughout this episode was that they kept flashing back again to the concentration camps, to Satrakian's backstory with the dude that I can never remember his name, Eichhorst, but I'm just, for the sake of it, going to call him Discount Christoph Waltz. You see it too. We flash back and we're getting this story of where he has handiwork, and Discount Christoph Waltz is like, who did this handiwork? And he finally speaks up and says he did. So all of a sudden you're like, why is this Nazi taking so much interest in this little piece of wood that he crafted? And out of nowhere he takes you into this room and he lays out these designs, and you see this big wooden box, and you just sit there and you go, whoa, 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 whoa. And I'm just, I'm just freaking out because I'm a fanboy of this series, and I'm just like, I can't control my arms. And because you have this realization that that means that Satrakian made the Master's coffin. And I almost feel like it makes it more personal, and I love the reveal they did of that, where it was just this wooden box. And that was just so cool. Because, I don't know, you really, when you see Satrakian in modern day, then you get this sort of like, this is that personal to him. And they reference that he was doing this since he was 8, which almost makes you feel like he's had these vampires his whole life, which he's been so connected to it that you get that deeper element to it that I have to say is just wonderful with flashing back and seeing more. I really want to see more of Satrakian's story, actually. We are getting a lot of friction between F and Satrakian, which I think is interesting because F in the previous episode was kind of like, let's do this, and then they're down in the basement and Satrakian's giving him his plan, and I get that F kind of has doubts. But F sort of says, whoa, why don't we just try and go to the public with this? And Satrakian is just like, really, dude, that's not gonna work. Let's just kill things, because killing things makes for a more entertaining television show. I mean, it's because we need to kill the Master. F has this sort of medicine man mentality where it's like, he's trying to help people. He's still trying to help people. And you have Satrakian, the warrior, the weathered warrior, who is just trying to finish his fight. And these two together are causing some compromises are going to be needed to be made. Things go down. Like the vampires throw down, where you have this guy, the husband of the lawyer, and he goes home, and you just have this really tense fight where the vampires are chasing after him, and he's in the house, and then the wife comes around the corner and she's full-on vampire, and you're just like, oh, that just happened. The whole segment with the children, where they're basically being taken back to the house, is you're sitting there the whole time just thinking about it. In my opinion, I love that, where you're just like, don't go back to the house. Oh, what? I give up. You really are kind of, you see that whole element, like before this, think about back to the previous episodes, before like the husband came back to the house even, like how much public attention were these vampires getting? This, you could kind of see that sort of branching out, and I loved that to death. And because you really got to see that this is affecting people more than just an intimate scale. This is beyond than the plane, and how quickly it's spreading. But I have to say, that whole scene is tense. But we cut away, of course, and Gus is now in jail. And Gus is walking around in the jail cell, and then they have that reveal of he goes through the crowd, and you see the really sickly friend. and you just know he's gonna turn. And he didn't, obviously, in the episode yet, but you know he's gonna turn. Now, in the book, that was when Satrakian is in jail with him, and it was sort of his explanation of the vampire. So I'm going to be really curious to see where his story goes, because obviously if you've read the books, you know that he plays a huge part, and he kind of needs to know Satrakian more, and so I'm going to be really, really curious to see. Tell me, all of you, who does not think Gus is just like one of the nicest, but yet at the same time, edgiest dudes? He has some of the more funny scenes without realizing he's funny. Ultimately, Satrakian says, you know, we need to track down the Master, so we're going to use Jim Kent to go and lure out his assistant, Discount Christoph Waltz. And Discount Christoph Waltz is going about, and he's like, you know, I need this, and I need this, and here's why, kind of thing. And they're gonna go silence the threat, but the vampire's already ahead of him. And I love this part of the scene, because you could tell the episode was kind of ending, because you can sort of see that after you've been around with a television show long enough. But when you finally see Satrakian and Eichhorst, I think that's how you pronounce his name, standing there, getting ready to face off, and they face off, and you're just like, whoa, and because Satrakian is ultimately losing, and he's being toyed with by Eichhorst, and I think this really, you saw it in his eyes, that he is sickly, he's getting to the point that he can't really do this anymore, and I think he's realizing he can't face the Master without other people. So I loved that connection. It all flowed together. The editing on this episode was top-notch. And then he's, of course, saved by F, but the real thing that I wanted to bring up and talk about is all of the sudden when we go back to the house is these arrows just start go flying through people, and we turn the camera around, and what is that but some really, really, really strange looking dudes. And we're not talking like downtown at like 9:30 p.m. in a city kind of creepy. We're talking like, these guys don't look human. Into him, and he's very reassuring to all these children, and that was almost like creepy to me. It's because he's like, it was comforting voice, but at the same time I was like, ugh. And I loved that, where he's like, come here, child, did it hurt you? And he kind of had that sort of comforting voice. And then the one girl has the scratch, and she's like, oh, it was just a scratch. And he goes, I see. Well, okay. And then he starts to get everyone else past the other vampires, and he just goes, peace out, and then shoots her in the head. That's pretty morbid, but I really like you. Now, those of you who read the books, you can probably tell who these are, but they're bringing these beings in earlier than they were, obviously, in the book. And I think that's awesome, because we're going to get some cool fights then, because these guys mean business. I think that the finale of this season is going to be a lot different from the book, in the sense that I feel like a lot more characters are going to be playing a part in that final moment. And if that's the case, I'm totally okay with it, because those dudes were awesome. What kind of crossbow was that? It was like a shotgun crossbow. He was like, and I know that crossbows aren't loaded like that, but either way, it was so cool, and I was geeking out about those guys, those beings. Okay, guys, so what did you think of this episode today? Comment below, I want to know, and don't forget to like and subscribe to keep these videos coming. I'm going to keep the Strain videos coming for you guys.